TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel pledges to thwart Iran's path to a nuclear bomb regardless of any agreement. The IAEA urges the P5+1 and Iran not to use the agency as a bargaining chip in negotiations. A virtual donor conference for Yemen, co-hosted by Sweden and Switzerland, fails to raise the necessary funds to accommodate the humanitarian need for the war-torn country. The International Atomic Energy Agency urges Iran and the P5+1, including the United States, Russia, China, France, Britain plus Germany, to avoid using its important technical role as a bargaining chip for negotiations. Speaking at a quarterly meeting of the IAEA's Board of Governors, the agency's Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi reiterated his call upon all parties involved to seize the opportunity presented after reaching a temporary technical understanding with Iran on February 21st to advance much-needed diplomacy that would once again grant IAEA inspectors full access to Iran's nuclear infrastructure.
Had very important and productive meetings with the Foreign Minister, Mr. Zarif, and also the Vice President and President of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, Dr. Salehi. And as a result of this, we were able to agree on a temporary bilateral technical understanding for 90 days, which will allow the agency to continue its essential verification and monitoring activities.
It is important to highlight that the IAEA's temporary understanding with Iran of up to 90 days can be rescinded by either party at any time. And while IAEA Director General Grossi repeatedly referred to the agreement as, quote, satisfactory for the immediate time frame, in a press briefing that followed the Board of Governors meeting, it revealed that in contrast to the additional protocol of the JCPOA, which is the technical abbreviation of the term for the 2015 nuclear agreement, the recent technical understanding with Iran effectively limits the IAEA from inspecting undeclared sites, barring any so-called snap inspections to locations which are suspected of undeclared nuclear activities.
We lost the additional protocol. And this is a big loss. I said it as well. And also the transparency, what the so-called transparency measures that specific to the JCPOA. So, for example, to give you an example, if I wanted to go to a place which, when I want to go and it's not part of the declared sites and I have a doubt about, I cannot. So it's a huge loss.
In light of the evident limitations to gain access to undeclared facilities, and after the IAEA had also acknowledged that the Islamic Republic had in fact withheld information vis-à-vis two warehouses in Tehran in which it stored undeclared nuclear material, Director General Grossi responded to a question on whether his agency could effectively guarantee safeguard limitations amid evident lack of trust.
The work and the trust must always exist. And when we have doubts, we ask questions. We are not condemning anybody. We are simply saying we have found things where they shouldn't be. So explain to me why this is there. And this is the dialogue that I must have. It's a technical dialogue, and when I come to my conclusions, I present them to the Board of Governors.
In light of the latest developments in relation to Iran's breach of its nuclear commitments, possibly even prior to the U.S. withdrawal from the JCPOA in 2018, the European Union released a statement in which it underscored its deep concern, especially regarding Tehran's decision to suspend the transparency provisions under the JCPOA.
The latest nuclear step by Iran are very much concerning. You will have seen our reaction in the European Union declaration that we issued yesterday from the Foreign Affairs Council. But at the same time, I am convinced, as coordinator of the GCPOA, that we do have a diplomatic space, a diplomatic window of opportunity to dialogue at this moment and to reinvigorate this deal according with the wish explained and expressed by the new Biden administration. We need to use this opportunity and focus on solutions to bring the GCPOA back on track in order for everybody fulfilling their commitments. This is an occasion that we cannot miss.
It is crucial to highlight that with or without an agreement, Israel will thwart Iran's path to a nuclear weapon. In an interview to Israel's Khan Radio, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that an investigation into a bombing of an Israeli freighter in the Gulf of Oman last week was clearly an Iranian operation. When asked further whether Israel would respond to the Islamic Republic's aggression, the Israeli premier highlighted Jerusalem's determination, which was also conveyed to U.S. President Joe Biden.
קודם כל זה אכן פעולה של איראן, זה ברור. ולגבי התגובה, אתה מכיר את המדיניות שלי. איראן היא האויב הגדול ביותר של ישראל.
היא תקבל תגובה על העניין הזה.
איראן היא האויב הגדול ביותר של ישראל, אני נחוש לבלום אותה, אנחנו מכים בה בכל האזור, ולאיראן הכי חשוב לא יהיה נשק גרעיני, עם הסכם או בלי הסכם, את זה גם אמרתי לידידי הנשיא ביידן.
In response to the Israeli leader's stated allegation, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Saeed Khatibzadeh strongly rejected the Islamic Republic's responsibility. Moreover, he went on to challenge Israel's credibility for the mere reason that the Jewish state, quote, is occupying Jerusalem, which the Ayatollah regime regards as illegal since it views Jerusalem as a Muslim city.
اتهام زنی توسط رژیم اشغالگر قدس داره اتفاق میفته. منشأ این اتهام زنی خودش نشون میده چقدر بی‌اعتبار این اتهام زنی و ما نه تنها قویاً رد میکنیم بلکه احساس میکنیم که تمامی اقداماتی که این چند ماه اخیر رژیم اشغالگر قدس انجام داده در حوزه امنیتی پیرامون ایران بسیار مشکوکه. با دقت رصد میکنیم و پاسخش رو در جای مناسب خودش اگر اتفاقی بیفته خواهیم داد.
The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson went on to reiterate Tehran's rejection on an EU attempt to broker talks between Iran and the United States under the framework of the P5+1.
ببینید ما هیچ گفتگوی دو جانبه‌ای با ایالات متحده نداریم و تا موقعی که ایالات متحده مسیر غلط خودش رو اصلاح نکنه هیچ تغییری در سیاست‌های ایران صورت نخواهد گرفت. ببینید تا امروز که نزدیک به 2 ماه از دولت جدید آقای بایدن گذشته، حتی دولت آقای بایدن رسما بازگشت خودش رو به تعهدات حتی در کلام ما اعلام نکرده.
The latter statement by the Iranian Foreign Ministry official is simply untrue. As TV7 reported on multiple occasions, the United States is eager to return into compliance with the so-called JCPOA once the Islamic Republic returns into compliance first.
We are disappointed at Iran's response, but we remain ready to re-engage in meaningful diplomacy to achieve a mutual return to compliance under the JCPOA commitments. We'll be consulting our P5+1 partners as on the best way forward. As we have made clear, the United States is prepared to meet with Iran to address the way forward on a mutual return to compliance with the JCPOA. Resumption of a compliance can't happen without all sides discussing the details.
The U.S. State Department spokesperson went on to address the Yemenite conflict, where the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels are seemingly staging an aspired last advance on Ma'arib province, which once conquered, will in effect bring most of the strategically situated country of Yemen under the de facto influence of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Nevertheless, the Biden administration remains convinced that ending support for the Saudi-led campaign, which backs Yemen's UN-recognized government, is the only way to end the devastating war. It is important to highlight a virtual donor conference for Yemen, co-hosted by Sweden and Switzerland, was held yesterday, during which approximately $1.7 billion were pledged by multiple governments for humanitarian relief in the war-torn country. Nevertheless, The United Nations aid chief voiced disappointment since the significant amount did not match the United Nations declared target required to accommodate a growing need.
Of today's high-level pledging event on Yemen is disappointing. Pledges announced total approximately $1.7 billion. That is less than we received for the humanitarian response plan in 2020, and $1 billion less than was pledged at the conference we held in 2019.
Meanwhile, on the ground in Yemen, hundreds of thousands of Yemenites are fleeing the Iranian-backed Houthi advance, which had seemingly ransacked several refugee camps along the front line.
احنا نزحنا من عمراء من محافظة عمراء إلى مخيم الزور وجلسنا في مخيم الزور 4 سنوات. فجاء يعني الحرب هذه مع الهجومات هذه رجعنا نزحنا ذاهين إلى مخيم الخراشي في محافظة المأرب.
نزحت قبل 5 سنوات إلى يعني الزور، وكنا عايشين في المخيمات يعني مشي حالك في الزور، وحصل الهجوم من الحوثي هذا فجأة لنا ودرنا أداوتنا ودرنا كل ما نملك داخل الزور.
Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to lift up Congo in prayer for its salvation and peace, alongside prayers for our persecuted brothers and sisters around the world, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem, the salvation of Israel, for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion and its numerous ramifications worldwide. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov U'Mevorach, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.